Hey everyone, welcome in. Right now, Diablo 4's main cosmetic strategy is centered around the different transmogs that players can either purchase directly from an in-game store or earn through a free or premium battle pass. The primary feature here is the inclusion of a 3D character model on the paper doll or the inventory screen, something brand new to Diablo 4. Let's dive into cosmetics and why I think Diablo is setting themselves up for a healthy and successful future here. The ARPG genre has traditionally struggled with cosmetics for a simple reason. There's far too much stuff all over the screen. From spell effects, monsters exploding into pools of blood and ichor, and even your character's own transformational abilities, there's just no real way to benefit from the cosmetics that you might purchase or earn by watching normal gameplay. And what use are cosmetics if you barely see them and you never get to show them off to your friends? Now, normally RPGs solve this with a paper doll that displays your character's 3D model on the inventory screen. The theory here is that the inventory screen is the most often used screen in an ARPG. So displaying your character here will frequently and usefully demonstrate your character's cosmetics. Since this is also the screen where you equip your items in most RPGs, it serves a useful purpose by allowing you to see the visual difference between different gear on your character. But these inventory screens can vary from game to game, and until now, Diablo has not featured a 3D character model. So let's go into detail and break down the design of a paper doll, items, and the inventory screen to better grasp why this concept is so important. First, items themselves are designed in two categories: Skeumorphic and equally sized. Skeumorphic item systems attempt to recreate the items as they might appear in the real world and give them appropriate size and weight. Because Skeumorphic item systems are larger, the art for these items is usually more detailed and easier to see without hovering or clicking on the item itself. These items also feature special sounds for different types when they're equipped into their slots. This makes the items feel like they have more heft and weight. Meanwhile, equal-sized item systems will always have the same sized icons for every single item type. In most cases, the art for the items will be less detailed than their Skeumorphic counterparts. Equally sized items will also avoid the hassle of additional sound design for each item type, and instead go for a more streamlined development approach. Second, there are a number of item slots in the paper doll, ranging from around 10 to 20, where you can equip your gear. Skeumorphic item slot design attempts to recreate the physical location and size of the items themselves. For example, the chest armor slot will usually be the largest and located in the center, a helm on the top, weapon and offhand on the left and right sides, and finally rings and amulet as the smallest slots. Equally sized item slots are oriented from top to bottom, usually with the helm on top and boots on bottom. Typically, these will also display slots on both the left and right side of the 3D character model, and in many cases, the weapon and offhand slots will be separated into their own special section. Third, the inventory will either choose to display a 3D character model or not. Because Skeumorphic items take up so much room, they will avoid using the character model and instead choose the shape of the items to speak for themselves. Equal-sized inventories will almost always display a character model in order to demonstrate how the gear looks, since the item icon itself is usually not as highly detailed. Fourth, the inventory will have a section for picking up equipment, typically called a backpack or a bag. Some games choose to separate the bag into its own separate window that, importantly, needs to be displayed at the same time as the item slots, so you can see the items as they're being equipped. Other games will choose to attach the inventory to the same screen. The bag itself will have a limited number of slots, forcing the player to either go back to town to sell and salvage items, or to be more judicious in the items that they loot. Skeumorphic item designs will almost always feature a Tetris-like slot design, and different sized items will take up different amounts of space. Equal-sized items, on the other hand, will always take up one slot, regardless of the item type. Now, a big change to the Diablo formula in Diablo 4 is the shift from a heavily Skeumorphic item design to an equal-sized design. While it's still in pre-beta, Diablo 4 appears to have 10 item slots on the character screen, although 12 for the Barbarian if you count the Barbarian's arsenal system. The inventory here also features an interactable 3D character model. This solves the essential problem with displaying cosmetics: Finally, you will be able to see how awesome your character looks more often than just on the login screen. And because the inventory screen is the one that you use the most in ARPGs, you get to bask in the glory of your character's dashing good looks naturally throughout gameplay. But the inclusion of a 3D character model on the inventory screen goes deeper than just cosmetic enjoyment. In fact, if you look at Blizzard's monetization strategy so far for Diablo 4, this paper doll is absolutely critical for them to get right. So far, we know that Blizzard is planning to sell full cosmetic sets, mount cosmetics, and a premium battle pass, by the way, which will contain cosmetics, and of course the base game itself and possible expansions. As it stands today, this sounds like a truly cosmetics and content only strategy, with thankfully no power for purchase like Lost Ark or Diablo Immortal. And when you really think about the cosmetics and content only strategy, that puts a large amount of weight on the game's success on the implementation of the cosmetic systems. Because gameplay in an ARPG is usually a poor way of showing off your cosmetics, other places in the game become vital to show them off. First, of course, is the login screen, which is probably the highest resolution version of your character that you'll see, but by far the least often. The second is when you inspect a character, whether that's your own character for transmogs or when you're viewing somebody else on a leaderboard. Third is when you're in the in-game store or battle pass, viewing and trying on cosmetics. And finally, far and above the most important of them all is your own character on the inventory screen. This 3D character model is the linchpin of the entire cosmetic strategy for the entire game, because this is the location where you show off your cosmetics. And that applies whether you intend to buy cosmetics or not, because the rewards for the free tier battle pass are these very same cosmetics. So, since this feature is so important to the game, how do we know if it's going to be good or not? Well, we might be able to figure that out from Diablo Immortal. Immortal includes a 3D character model on the paper doll, on the inventory screen, and an equal-sized item design. The character model is interactable and it can be freely rotated. And the same character model is also displayed on the login screen, giving a sense of continuity from when you log in to in-game on the inventory screen. Finally, the cosmetics in this game are just beautiful. Even the in-game store in Immortal does a fantastic job of previewing and showing cosmetics. Obviously, Immortal's pay-to-win mechanics are an ever-present sword of Damocles over the game, but still, Immortal surprisingly has a fantastic cosmetic system within it. Immortal also features key art for each season's battle pass that displays the cosmetics in full form. And frankly, some of these are among my personal favorite pieces of Diablo art. I think that if Diablo 4 takes a similar approach, that this particular implementation of cosmetics will bring the darkness of the game front and center for us all to enjoy. Ultimately, a strong cosmetic system in Diablo 4 will give players a way to enjoy the hundreds, if not thousands of hours that they put in their characters, and also give the game's developers a healthy monetization and reward system for players to enjoy without resorting to nasty pay-to-win or pay-for-power systems. Anyway, that's it for this one. What do you think about cosmetics in Diablo 4 and the shift from a Skeumorphic item system to an equally sized one? Let me know down in the comments. Peace!